We're going to give the George Cobb Award every year, odd-numbered years at USCOTS, even-numbered years at ECOTS. The winner last year was Bob Delmas. And Dennis Pearl, director of CAUSE, is going to announce the winner of the 2023 George Cobb Lifetime Achievement Award in Statistics Education. Is this on? Yep.
Well, as Alan mentioned, we gave the award to George right before he gave that influential talk that was sort of challenging the introstat orthodoxy and arguing for the simulation-based inference. One of the other sayings I like George about himself is he said that he never saw an apple cart that he didn't want to overturn, which I thought was a great line. You know, there's the old maxim that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Everybody knows that one. Well, I have a sneaky suspicion that that's why George always brought 1,001 very eloquent words to the table. So the Cobb Award itself, hiding under the table, I think. No? Over here. Oh, okay. The Cobb Award itself is actually a clock, and sort of in honor of George's sense of irony, the inscription says that it's for timeless and continuing contributions to statistics education. So I've put that in the kind of spring bag here to indicate that this is an achievement award that really honors a person who has really helped grow the field, the imagery of the contributions and the achievement part. But the thing about this award is that it's not just an achievement award, it's also an appreciation award. It's an award from the statistics education community given to a person because of our deep appreciation of how much they've contributed to us. And that's why I have the hero bag here with a special present for the honoree who can look at it later on. And so anyway, that's the origin of the award and kind of hints at a constant theme we've had here at USCOTS over the years. And that is that we've given you plenty of food for thought, both figuratively and literally with all our buffets. We've had a buffet for every meal, basically. And of course, in those, we always serve the safe thing, the salad and the chicken. So we have chicken, lettuce, and tomato for those courses that want to fall back on the CLT. I warn you, I've worked with Larry Lesser for 15 years, so this stuff is contagious. Anyway, another tradition I love about USCOTS and this award is that I get to be the one to announce the winner here. And, well, I'm a little nervous right now because this is the first time in a real long time that I've said anything before a live audience. This year, even now that we're going back to face-to-face, I'm a virtual employee now at Penn State. So my teaching has been strictly online through our world campus. And of course, you know that when you're teaching online, that you have a very different student population. Our online courses have just lots of older adult students. We have people who have 40-hour-a-week jobs and lots of family responsibilities and really only have about a day to really contribute toward their coursework. And we also have people in all time zones all over the world. We have a sizable number of military personnel that are based around the world and basically are using their educational benefit to take, my little intro stat course. And so anyway, I got an email from one of them. I'm going to read this to you. This is from a student in the class. It says, "Hi, Professor Pearl. I'm sorry, but I may be late with my assignment for this week. I actually am overseas, and yesterday I took a bullet to the head. Luckily, I was wearing my helmet and just got very dizzy. I hope to be back in action as soon as possible, as I feel a duty to serve our team effort in any way I can help." Oh my goodness, this was terrible. I really felt so sorry. I wrote him right back and said, well, this sounds very serious. Most important thing now is you should be getting good medical care and take care of yourself. Don't worry about my class. You don't even have to turn in the assignment. If there's anything I can do, this is like in 50 years, over 50 years of teaching now, this is like never happened to me. So I was worried about the guy, and I figured I would look him up in order to find maybe I can send him a get well card or something. And so I look him up, and it turns out he's a hockey player who's playing overseas in Sweden in a league there, and fast-moving puck sort of veered off of his helmet. So took a bullet to the head, and wanted to be back in action in order to indeed he was playing the next night. But he did take me up on my offer to blow off the assignment. Well, at any rate, the moral of the story, though, for this audience, the moral of the story is that oftentimes we don't really know what our students are thinking, even when they tell us right out, this is it. And the moral of the moral is that we really need people who think about thinking. That's really a crucial thing. And also people that not only think about thinking, but they could translate that into curricula and pedagogy that make a practical difference in students' lives. And so this year's winner, who has been absolutely transformational in that area, is Maxine Vancook. To introduce Maxine, we have the two Chris's, Chris Franklin and Chris Wild.
So when Dennis asked me if I would introduce Maxine, I asked him how much time I had. And he said, well, no more than 4 minutes. And I have worked tirelessly to put my introduction together to be 4 minutes or less. And I practiced and practiced, and Dennis, I'm sorry, with my slow Southern speak, I can't do 4 minutes. But I've got it down to 5 minutes plus a margin of error of 2 minutes. So hopefully I won't speak too long. But it's really hard with Maxine because there's so much that I could tell you tonight. So I've written out some words, and I'm going to try to do my best to stay within my time limit. It is really a great honor for me to be able to introduce Maxine from the U.S. side. You're soon going to hear an introduction from New Zealand. In 2015, I was extremely fortunate to spend 6 months in New Zealand as part of the Fulbright program. Chris Wilde and Maxine encouraged me to apply, and even though I had never met Maxine in person, Maxine offered to serve as my host. I had admired and revered the work of Maxine for several years, especially her profound and pioneering research that significantly influenced the pre-K through 12 and the college gaze documents. Maxine has and continues to be a tireless contributor to New Zealand, having one of the world's leading school-level curriculums. She, along with her colleagues, took me under their wings, collaborating and modeling for me how New Zealand and the United States can work together for the success of our students. Several of Maxine's PhD students are now contributing to the StatEd efforts in the United States. This extended time in New Zealand was one of my most cherished experiences, both professionally and personally. However, I fear that Maxine soon realized, after I arrived, she may have taken on more than she bargained for. Her first inkling might be summed up by a comment from her husband. That lady from the southern U.S. likes to talk a lot. Although Maxine is too kind to say it, I sense her code name for me became Pesty Chris, and still holds today, this week. I was constantly encouraging her to join me for outings and trips. My office was across from hers, and I watched her daily, working long hours on her research, her teaching, advising her PhD students, and serving as editor of Surge. Even though I know she was often ready for peace and quiet, she made certain to spend time with me on these outings. And this is where I learned about Maxine's interest outside of statistics education. She loves art and cultural events. She volunteers at the Auckland Museum and art galleries. She enjoys the outdoors, and she knows more about current events in the United States and the world than most. In fact, when I was in New Zealand, she became my news source. On a return trip to New Zealand, Maxine invited me to take a week-long road trip to the Northland of the North Island. We felt like Thelma and Louise heading out in her car. It was the trip of a lifetime. However, a few surprises did happen along the way, like tramping the so-called easy trail recommended by one of her graduate students, which was instead extremely rocky, steep, and windy. We thought we were going to die trying to climb that trail. But we said these two senior women are not going to let this trail defeat us. We made it to the top, and we high-fived. Or the lodging we discovered when we arrived that was foremost a saloon and gaming spot. We checked in at the bar. To our rickety room, Maxine found a slit in my door to where she could look into my bedroom. And we looked at each other and we said, what the heck? We might as well get into the spirit. So we hung out that evening in the bar in the gaming area. Or at another lodging on the trip, the evening we were eating outside and a fight broke out in the parking lot in front of us. Or the drug deal that we witnessed. I was beginning to think like it really was a Thelma and Louise trip. But it made for great stories. Oh, and let me let you in on a little secret. Maxine can be a speed demon, especially on those curvy two-lane roads in New Zealand. She hugs those curves effortlessly in her Mini Cooper, and as a passenger, you just hang on and you enjoy the ride. But what I treasured most about that trip was how my awe of Maxine as an individual became even greater. She is selfless, she's devoted to family, she's devoted to her colleagues, her students. She loves her country and she knows its rich history, and she's passionate about nature and the environment. And does Maxine know the birds and trees of New Zealand? She was my personal guidebook on our trip. The road trip in September 19 was especially special, as it was taken a few months before the COVID pandemic hit us in March 2020. Now, almost 4 years later, Maxine, myself, and two UGA colleagues, Catherine and Sherry, experienced another road trip. We flew from Georgia to Pittsburgh, and Maxine was able to see Pennsylvania. Maxine came so that we could honor her with the George Cobb USCOTS Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations, Maxine. Your lifetime dedication and contributions to statistics education in the U.S. and internationally are astounding. You are an amazing ambassador to honor your friend and colleague, George Cobb, and what this award represents. And now, Maxine, your colleagues in New Zealand would like to introduce you from there.
Thanks, Chris. Hi from Auckland, New Zealand, for everybody at the USCOTS Banquet and Awards Night. I've been at quite a few of these events and they've all been great fun and very memorable. So why did Dennis ask me to break into your proceedings this evening? Just to say congratulations to you, Maxine, from all of us here in New Zealand for winning the George Cobb Lifetime Achievement Award in Statistics Education as the first ever winner from outside the US. Your legion of friends and fans from across New Zealand are extremely proud of you here tonight and of your many achievements that have brought you to the most prestigious award in statistics education. I also want to acknowledge the genius of the wonderful life force that was George Cobb. George is so deeply missed, especially on a night like tonight, Whenever there are new developments that come along, we always wonder, I wonder what George would have thought about this. Maxine, you first came into my life in the early 1990s when still working for the Dean Auckland College of Education. You joined our first introductory statistics teaching team. From day one, you started asking pesky questions and you never stopped. You read stuff I'd written, you picked up broad sweeping statements, and then asked, when you say this, then why isn't it like that? Or, wouldn't that mean that, etc. From the very beginning, you were always driven to drill down into the very heart of the matter. We really began to work closely together in the early 90s when your PhD supervisor resigned, changed career, and I was asked to take over. I hadn't a clue how statistics education researchers did research, let alone know how to supervise it. So you've always politely maintained the fiction that I was your PhD supervisor when we were just two people trying to figure things out together. With you taking the lead on the educational side and me on the statistical meanings side. I think things worked for us precisely because our knowledge bases were very different, with each of us continually being asked by the other to explain things from another world. It's in that sort of to and fro of questioning that some shiny pennies sometimes dropped. I'm so glad you dragged me into your stat ed world all those years ago because I've had so much fun and fulfillment with you there. I've valued your deep knowledge, your perceptiveness, your relentless working from fundamental principles and never letting things go. This hasn't just benefited your world-class research and teaching innovations, but also made possible the fruits of your leadership in the reform of New Zealand's statistics curriculum frameworks for schools. For over 30 years down in the trenches, you're constantly bringing things back to core principles and asking pesky questions that get under people's skins. It got through to so many of the stakeholders you've had to persuade. Very little progress would have been made without you. I have also witnessed with extreme pleasure your superb development and mentorship of a generation of amazing young statistics educators who will be leading us into the future. So thank you for taking me along on at least part of your stat ed ride. I hope you have a wonderful time tonight and also enjoy the present that Janice has engineered for you.
So it falls upon me to make a toast to Maxine, and Maxine, it's genuinely an honour to be able to do this for you. I want to thank you firstly on behalf of the department, but also on behalf of the university and the country for the acclaim that you have brought to us. Many of you who know New Zealand as well know that we like to think that we punch above our weight in the international stage. And Maxine, you're an example to us all in this respect. You have shaped the futures of a generation, if not more, of statistics students in the way that they have encountered and learned our subject, and we thank you for that. So, to Maxine, fantastic event, fantastic success. To Maxine.
Now back to Janice, I guess.
Maxine, now is the time. Here's the. There you go.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
And we have the resolution. You're going to have to say a few words? Or you want to come around? I should say that if you have the two Chris's in your corner, then you're doing something right.
Well, as you can see, people in Auckland are having a real party. I think we'll have to have one like that after this. I'm just overwhelmed by this award, and I just never realised the impact my work had and how many people knew about it, because it was done as a PhD student, and when you're just working down at the bottom of the world, you don't realise how your research is spreading and what people are reading. And really my research wouldn't be possible without the researchers that came before me and whose work I avidly devoured and learnt about statistics education. And so I really appreciate those people who have come before me. And as people say, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And there have been many giants that have supported me. But also, it's not me alone. We're a team. And I couldn't have done it without my colleagues who've supported me and worked as a team, because I've really enjoyed working with lots of people because they all bring something to the research, and they've just been wonderful colleagues. And my students, they're so creative, and Chris has got such good ideas about software, and he knows his statistics, so I'm always going to him, explain this to me. And so if we get a team of people with all different skills, we can do a lot together. So it's not just me, it's a team that's worked together with many different skills. And so I really appreciate that. And that's why all our research is not possible without those people supporting us and the people who've come before us. So thank you very much. I'm just overwhelmed, and it's hard to take in that I've got such a wonderful award, and especially as it's named after George Cobb, whose research I really loved, because he really challenged me as an educator. And so I think it's when people challenge you that you do your best work and you take up that challenge. So thank you very much. It's just wonderful.